What is going on, everybody? So I'm back today to do another topic video, and it seems like a lot of you guys out there really enjoyed when I did this very specific video not too long ago. And so I thought it would be fun to do a part two because it opened up some really interesting conversation about some movies and how people feel about certain types of movies, and I was really looking forward to get into this discussion a little bit more because there are several movies that I feel like a lot of people have a similar feeling to me on, where they are critically well received, but for some reason they just don't resonate with you personally. And I talked about a lot in my last video. Specifically, the biggest one that I feel like kind of ruffled the feathers was Pulp Fiction, which I got into some really interesting conversations about that. Seeing kind of how all over the board people are about that movie was really interesting. And so I decided to do a part two. And today we're going to get into several more movies that got really great reviews or that did well in the box office that just did not work for me. So without further ado, let's get into it now. So first up, this is going to be a film that was released last year that I absolutely despised, and that is Top Gun Maverick. I did a full review on this, and my thoughts are still exactly the same. I feel like unless you have some sort of grand attachment to the original Top Gun film, the character writing in this was absolutely horrendous. It was so cheesy. The line delivery was absolutely horrible. It felt like some sloppy 1980s movie that was really quickly thrown together. And as the film progressed, I was just like, God, this is so boring. None of the plot points were interesting at all. I was just like, oh, we can really make some money off of playing into the nostalgia of the original film. Tom Cruise is not compelling in this movie at all. He does not give a good performance. A lot of people were like, Miles Teller's great. He was so forgettable in this movie. And aside from all that, and I talked about this in great detail in my other video, this movie just felt like a 2.5-hour political propaganda piece. The entire movie just felt like, isn't the United States military great? Don't you want to be in the US military? Look how cool this is. We're forming all these wonderful relationships. And if you do it too, you're going to have just as much fun. No one even dies in the movie. There's no real negative painting of the evils of the military and the awful things that the United States military does. And that's what really frustrated me about this movie. And there are a lot of movies in history that have really frustrated me. And I saw a lot of people online that were like, there's no military propaganda in this. It's like, did you not know that when the original Top Gun was released, they literally set up recruiting stations in movie theaters to get people to sign up for the military? They used these movies to sell weapons to other countries. It's just like, this is not a film anymore. It's utilizing itself as a political agenda so that they can use a big budget Hollywood film and say, look at all the people who love it. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this wonderful? And it just feels gross to me. It just really feels disgusting. It's a movie that thinking about it just kind of sends chills down my spine. I don't even like thinking about this movie. It's terrible. Even stripping away the political element, it's just a bad movie that is not enjoyable. There's a couple cool special effects moments. I will never watch this movie again. Up next, and this might be a controversial opinion, but Disney's original Pinocchio. I cannot stand the character of Pinocchio. I think he is absolutely obnoxious, horribly written, literally the worst elements of a child that you could have in one single character. And on top of that, Geppetto is a horrible parent and he does not do a great job. And the entire thing of like blindly obey everything that your parents say. Don't pursue being an actor. Don't pursue anything creative because it will completely destroy your life is the most outdated, dumb idea that has ever been conveyed in a movie. And Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, he tried to shift and change some of the elements of that have sort of shifted with the times, which thank goodness someone has done that. But oh my God, I just absolutely despise this movie so much. The music does not save it for me. Sure, it has that beautiful Disney animation, but I honestly cannot stand this movie. I'm not sure what the appeal is to most people. It's also incredibly bloated and mostly boring. And yeah, as far as Disney's catalog goes, can't stand this movie. Don't ever want to watch it again. Up next is going to be the 2013 film Philomena, which was actually nominated for multiple Academy Awards. I do not understand the appeal to this movie whatsoever. It felt like the sloppiest Oscar bait writing I've ever seen. The two lead performances are abysmal in this. absolutely horrible. There's nothing compelling about the writing. It's just essentially presenting you with this information in the most flat and bland way possible. And this is just one of the perfect examples of, like, if you could put some sort of controversy in a film, the Academy will nominate it for an award, and it doesn't even have to be good. And you just cast the Dame Judi Dench in your film, and because she's in it, people will recognize it. But I despise this movie. It was like 98 minutes long, and it was such a slog to get through. There's nothing memorable about this film. There's nothing that makes me want to ever watch it again. And yeah, it's just bad. I'm not sure. I know this movie, like, got pretty decent critic reviews when it came out. It seems like a lot of, like, film lovers find things to despise about the movie, and maybe I'm not the only one in this camp, but yeah, I can't stand that movie at all. Up next is going to be the 2022 released A24 film, Bodies, 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 a movie that still baffles me as to why people enjoy it so much. This movie is so boring. The screenplay is absolutely abysmal, to where at the beginning of the movie I was invested. I thought it was interesting enough to where I would continue to keep watching and try to find things in it to enjoy. The entire middle segment of this movie is the most boring, repetitive, lazy screenwriting I have ever seen in a film, where it's just kids walking into a room and saying, "Oh my God, someone's dead. What happened? Who killed them?" And then kids going into another room and doing the same thing over and over again. There's no tension, there's no suspense. I guessed the ending in like the first 20 minutes of the movie, and it's just like this whole commentary on Gen Z culture, especially like wealthy Gen Z kids now. There is a way to do it in an intelligent manner that actually like resonates with people. And then there's this movie, which, like, even the dialogue that a lot of kids are finding funny just was like so flat and bland, and I didn't think any of the performances were really that good. And there was a movie released on Shudder not too long ago called Sissy that it tackled this exact same subject matter and did it in a way that was 1,000 times better, that I think people would enjoy so much more if they checked it out. I can't stand this movie. I'm gonna revisit it at some point to see if it changes my opinion at all, but I'm not planning on doing it anytime in the near future. Up next is gonna be a recent watch for me, a film that was released in 2020 called Dinner in America. I was very excited about this movie because a lot of people said that it was, you know, embedded in the punk rock world, that it was really kind of like subversive, dark humor, and I was really looking forward to it. And this movie is so obnoxious. All the character writing is terrible. It just feels like that type of like, look, we're edgy. Isn't it cool how edgy we are, in a way that just comes off as so unappealing and gross. I could not stand the writing in this movie. It irritated the hell out of me. All the performances were very mediocre. It ended up just being like, look, the asshole who uses slurs throughout the entire movie is going to be the hero and save the weird girl. And it's like, I'm so tired of those dumbass tropes that just don't work for me. There's nothing charming or cute or sweet about it. And like, the end of the movie kind of changed my opinion a little bit, to where it made me like it a hair more because the writing got a little bit better towards the end. But the first like 40 minutes of this movie are insufferable. I couldn't stand any of the characters. I couldn't stand the direction that it was taking. And I know a lot of people really like this movie, but it is definitely not for me. And then last up on the list, this movie still baffles me to this day why people like it so much, and that is the Rian Johnson film Knives Out, the most bland, lazy whodunit that I have ever watched in my entire life. There's nothing compelling or suspenseful about this movie. Even the cinematography, in my personal opinion, is relatively flat and lazy. Every performance in this could have been changed with any other character, even Daniel Craig, which I know a lot of people were like, oh my God, look at Daniel Craig doing this southern drawl accent. I personally, in my own opinion, don't think that it's anything all that special. And having such a stacked cast that has the opportunity to make a film that could be so unique and interesting and fun be this flat and boring is really upsetting, and there's nothing exciting about it to me. Another film that I guessed the ending in like the first 25-30 minute runtime of the movie. Ana de Armas is the best part of the film. She does a really great job. It's the only thing that made it worth watching for me. The rest of the runtime I was like, God, I'd rather be watching Clue or literally any other whodunit film other than this. Cannot believe it spawned a sequel and that it's going to get a third one. This is not a movie or a franchise for me. It's not one I'll probably ever revisit. I don't care enough to, and I'm still curious as to why people like this one so much. So do you agree or disagree with my opinions? Let me know down below, and let me know some critically acclaimed films that you don't like. I got some comments in the last video, really enjoyed reading them, and I'd love to read more of them. As always, if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.